ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network or over here on Broadway World. And I'm a poli-sci major.
Nice.
I am here in New Jersey, and now I moved to Detroit. Not necessarily states that we may be a little liberal sometimes, but we are here for this experience. We have Adam Kinzinger. It's an honor to have you here. And Steve Pink, I've laughed to your movies forever. So thanks for both of you being here.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. Thanks. By the way, I live in Texas now, which doesn't make sense either. So there you go.
So, there you go. When I had the opportunity to speak to you, and when I read that Steve was the one who did it, I don't think Hot Tub Time Machine and political documentaries and you reading the press notes that you both laughing about Hot Tub Time Machine led to a documentary. How did this happen?
Let me say before Steve goes, here's the funny thing is everybody thinks politicians have no sense of humor. Most of them don't, okay? Most of them don't, but there are some that do. And so anyway, as a military guy, we always loved Hot Tub Time Machine. In fact, when we were deployed, we watched it a lot. And so then I'll let Steve take it from here. But yeah, we had I still got that military sense of humor, which is part of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, we thought, there was a moment where I was, I was like, this is my opportunity to be an important, political documentary filmmaker, right? With an important serious documentary subject, because, Adam had sacrificed his career and his social circle and stood up against his party and Donald Trump in the aftermath of Jan 6. And, his family even wrote a letter to the New York Times, or his extended family wrote a letter to the New York Times saying he had now joined the devil's army. So I was walking through when we first started filming his parking garage up to his apartment with his wife, Sophia. And he turned to me and he goes, "Hey, by the way, I love Hot Tub Time Machine." And it totally kind of flipped in my brain what was actually happening, because I was like, wait, what? You like that movie? You saw that movie? And I was like, well, there's a new common ground that we can have here. If that's his sense of humor. And I didn't know, right? Because there's a lot of serious stuff going on around him. And so I was taking it all very, very seriously. But that, when he said that, it kind of opened the door for a way in which we could start to, talk to each other and have a common ground when it came to comedy. That kind of became a new framing for the movie.
And I'll just say too, I'll just say real quick that I had a lot of people that came to me that wanted to do documentaries just because of the nature of it. And they were interested in doing it from the personal side and not just the horse race side. So that made a big difference to my family and I as well.
Well, that's what I love about this film, everybody. And in January, you got to be able to watch it and stream it and be a part of it, is that we see you on the news. We see you on CNN. We see you on Fox. We see you wherever the news broke. And we look at you as a figurehead. We look at you that is somebody who we agree with, we don't agree with, but you have a family. There's a decision. You had to go home and have a conversation, and your safety and your career and finances and the safety of your family. All of these things come into play. You're not just a person living in a vacuum in Washington. You're a human being, and we get to see that in the film. Was it scary to share that side?
That's a good question. And yeah, a little bit. Look, and I agree with you. So it's funny because somebody told me actually the day I got into politics, they go, just so you know, when it comes to politics, everybody loses their sense of humor. Because I was always kind of a humorous, laughing kind of guy. And they're like, everybody loses their sense of humor. It is so true, by the way. And one of the things, though, is you realize, and I even fall victim to this, is we look at political figures as kind of two-dimensional memes, right? they're on TV, they say something we like or something we hate. They're not real humans. They're just, and I still fall for that. I mean, there's a lot of people I don't like in politics, and I have a tendency to look at them, Matt Gaetz, as not real people. I don't think he is a real person, but still, anyway. So,
I agree.
But, so then opening ourselves up, the scariest thing to me. So look, I'm used to being on camera. What I'm not used to, which was hard, is having a camera follow me around while I'm doing my job. Because to me, the tough thing about that was I was worried that I would look, and especially at such an important time as the January 6th committee, I was afraid that I would look like I was just kind of in this for the video, in this for the fame. And not just in it because we need to capture this important part of history. But yeah, we put a lot of faith in Steve. Look, I had no editorial control about what this film ended up as. And so if he made a decision that, hey, I want Adam to look stupid and I want his family to look stupid, he could have done it. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of faith to do that.
That's what I was going to ask you, Steve. Were there limits? Were you just hiding in the corner with a camera? what was the discussion like to make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was interesting because I was clear I had to just stay out of the way, right? And you see in the film there are many times where Adam's Chief of Staff Austin, waves me off. It's like no filming, right? Which we kept in because he didn't like us being around at first, obviously because he was protective of Adam and there's journalists all around. So at time I tried to stay out of the way and become invisible as best I could. And then there were other times where I felt this need to find out what was really going on. And I had to push to say, I need the camera on and I need the camera in the room. And because I need, for the story that we're telling, for you guys to, tell that story on camera or be a part of I need to be a part of what you're experiencing on camera. And those were certainly tough at first because they were like, are you out of your mind? That is not something we're going to allow you to tell. Although Adam, in a very crucial moment early in the film, when they find out we're in Utah, he's filming a commercial. It's in the film, and it was really one of our first days on the ground with him, and he finds out that he's officially being redistricted, and he had the decision to make about what he was going to do with his career going forward, whether he's going to run in his district again, or maybe run for governor or senator. It's just a crucial inflection point in his career, maybe the biggest. And Austin, of course, was like, turn off the cameras. And it was Adam who said, no, I mean, this is the point of a documentary film. They might as well, and then we can decide later, I guess, whether we can fight to keep it out of the film later if there's something happens. So that was, a trust that Adam had in us early. And it helped set the bar for how, so I knew that we could, rely on Adam, or we knew that we were building, trust with Adam in a way that allowed us to, to be in spaces that, were sometimes difficult, or.
Well, you asked initially if Steve was just in the corner filming. Well, that he does do that, but that's just in his personal life, not for this movie.
I'm gonna make the joke, but I was trying to class it up here for the congressman. I was trying to keep it rough, right? So my question to you is: in these times, your career from Illinois after the Air Force to Washington, D.C., and then making decisions with some other true patriotic Americans, if it's Mike Pence, if it's Liz Cheney, if it's yourself, if it's people who have decided to put the country first over party, which we all need to do in this country, truly. You've made comment. As a liberal, I'm a gay man living in Detroit, Michigan. So we have, but what I'm amazed at your career is that you made a lot of common sense gun law ideas that you were like, I'm not going to stick with the party and I'm going to save lives. You made common sense ideas that were not with your party about abortion. You made common sense ideas about the LGBT community. You have always defended marriage and different protections under the Constitution. How did you always have the guts to go against your party before this all came to a head? You've always been someone who voted with your moral compass.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that because a lot of times when I, talk to kind of Hollywood folks, they're all like, "Oh, you're just a damn conservative," and it's like, no, listen, like, yeah, I guess I'm center right, but I take every issue and try to analyze it through what is the best for the country, and obviously, being Midwestern raised, kind of conservative background, that would be the lens I see things through. But that's obviously changed a lot in the last few years. But for me, look, I never thought it was controversial because look, I mean, my God, you get elected to represent 700,000 people. Like, I mean, you think about that. You take Soldier Field, like 20 Soldier Fields, and say, okay, we're going to just pick one person out of 20 full Soldier Fields. And it's like, it's me. And my job as representing 700,000 people is not to go and do what the friggin' party wants. Like, honest to God, I don't care what the party wants. It's like, what is it that I think is the right thing to do here? And the problem is like that's become, and you think as like humanity becomes more enlightened, that actually more people would take that approach. But the weird thing is in the last few years, it's gone the opposite. And now it's particularly in the Republican Party, this like monolithic cult that you can't go outside of or else you'll be kicked out. So for me, look, I appreciate you saying that. And for me, it was always just, I wanted to take every issue. Now look, I'm not, Jesus Christ here. I've taken some votes that I look back on and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have. But for the most part, every issue I just analyze from what's best for people. That's the right way to do it.
Well, before we lump everyone together, I hope we do our research and look into the voting record and you can see what you've done. And I appreciate that because,
Thank you.
people can be all sorts of races, genders, sexualities, and be a Democrat or a Republican. It's for everybody. So thank you to
You
you
bet.
both. But what can we do to support, like a lot of people feel doom and gloom, like they feel scared. They feel like, I'm getting married in May. I'm like, I got to get married tomorrow before my constitutional rights are taken away. I'm afraid, well, they're going to be coming down the streets. What is the silver lining? Is there any? Should we be scared?
Well, look, I mean, and normally in the past, my job would be to make you feel better. And, look, I think there is a lot to be concerned about. I mean, the reality is, as we're talking here, Donald Trump's made it clear he wants to go after Liz Cheney, who did literally nothing wrong, except she was heroic. And so, yeah, I think there's going to be some damage to the guardrails of democracy. Now, if you're sitting here saying, I'm a gay man and I'm getting married in May, I'm worried about that. I don't think those kinds of things are under threat. I don't, because those are constitutional rights now. That's not something that I think even Donald Trump has an interest from a political perspective in getting in and turning back. Doesn't mean the people around him doesn't, by the way. And that's the concern with like Project 2025. Here's the optimism, though, is like, look, I'll be honest, the next 4 years is going to be tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, no, it's nothing. It's going to be tough. But what I love is the fact that there is a coalition of people on the sane right, the center, and the left to defend democracy. And to me, that's actually the most exciting thing. I love the fact that there are people like Steve, who he and I don't agree on a ton. Actually, we quite honestly agree on more than we don't. But we're different political philosophies, and I respect him. I enjoy hanging out with him, and I think the more that people do that and understand that like differences in viewpoints are actually healthy. That's how you have a healthy democracy. But we have to actually stand together against authoritarianism. That's what I'm optimistic about, because I think in 2028 that alliance is going to be stronger and we're going to come back hard in a big and positive way. I just think the next 4 years are going to be tough. But look, as a guy who's 46 now, I can tell you 4 years goes by in a flash, particularly when you look back at, George W. Bush's presidency, H.W., Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, whatever. It goes by in a flash, and so will Trump's.
I, Thank you for that. Who can say it better than that? That's it. So, Steve, I'm ready for Hot Tub Time Machine 3, starring Adam Kinzinger.
Yes.
Right?
I'm trying to talk him into this.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I mean, I don't see how it's not going to happen. I just kind of feel like, we'll be drafting off the success of the last Republican, and I think we move straight into it, right? This spring.
Yeah, dude, I'm ready.
Let's go.
I'm ready. We got to get your Russian energy drink back, though, man. Do they still make Cholulis or whatever that thing's called? Chernobyl's.
It's what's really funny about that movie is you were one of the only people who really clocked that. Like when people come to me and talk about the movie, no one really brings up the fact that it was a Cold War energy drink.
Yeah, I know. It's so awesome.
That was like the joke. It was like, well, it's the 80s, so we of course filtered it. We were like, well, because it's also kind of a dark joke. We're saying that somehow an energy drink that may or may not have come from an extract of a nuclear disaster in Eastern Europe. Like
right.
it's very freighted. Like, ha ha ha. It's really, really funny. But you picked up on it right away, which I thought was great.
Well, I appreciate you both for what you both are doing. What I want people to you need to watch and stream this and see what really happened, because I think there's so much misinformation and ideas. It's filled of misinformation and ideas that we are getting fed all of the time. So thank you. You're a true patriot and hero, both of you, for putting this out here. And we owe you an incredible debt of gratitude.
That's kind. Thank you. It's great chatting with you. Thank you.
So I want you to, when you run, I'm ready to, my SAG dues are paid, so I'm ready.
Yeah, I'll bring you on. You're on. You're already hired.
I'm in. I'm going to do a cameo in Hot Tub Time Machine 3. I've already just casted myself.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, it looks like it seems like a supporting role would suit you better, don't you think?
Oh, man, I'm in. I want 5 lines. I'll get those checks in my mailbox forever.
Yeah.
Let's go. But everybody, stream this January. Make sure you check it out before Inauguration Day. Find out what really happened, and remember to vote and be active in your civil and local politics is where it all starts.